Hi, friends. Welcome to Luminous Human School. Today's guest is Nan Akasha, affectionately known as Fairy Godmother by her clients. Nan is a Celtic priestess, Mayan jaguar medicine woman, and master light body energy healer with over 38 years of experience in mystery school initiations and energy medicine training. She's a 7-time #1 best-selling author, international speaker, and the founder of the Sacred Feminine Magic and Mystery School and Light Body Healing School. Nan blends ancient wisdom with modern techniques, drawing from her studies with shamans, healers, and masters worldwide.
She's created over 130 transformational programs, including Infinity Light Weaving and Prosperity Magic, helping people unlock their spiritual DNA and align with their soul's purpose. A celebrated award winning entrepreneur, Nan has been featured in Fast Company magazine and We Magazine's Women in E-commerce Awards. She lives on the Emerald Coast of the Yucatan with her soulmate, continuing her mission to empower others to live abundantly, joyfully, and in unity consciousness. We're thrilled to have her here today. Welcome, Nan Akasha.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Luminous Human School. And thank you, Nan, for joining us today. We are so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
And full disclosure, I am a longtime student of Nan's and huge admirer of her and her work. So this is not neutral. Yeah. Yeah, I love you so much, Nan.
I love you too.
Oh, thank you. And seeing your beautiful lavender incarnation today, I feel inspired to maybe have you share about the violet flame. It's one of the courses I took from you, and really it completely transformed my relationship with the violet flame practices.
Yeah. Well, thank you, ladies. And I have to tell you, I absolutely love the name of your show because I am a light body girl. So I'm trained in lots of mystery schools and they go very deep into your light body. So the sacred geometrical structures, embodying the Mayan calendar, I just on and on and on, all of these different mystical practices that go along with that. And so your light body is your luminous energy field, right? So we are luminous and everything is liquid light. So we are like moving around in this beautiful liquid light reality. Of which we are each the creator, so of our own. And so over many, many, many decades now, like 38 years, I think, in this life, my life's been falling apart. And then I go out seeking something in the wilderness of the spiritual path and see what comes along. So I've become a homeopath. I've become a master hypnotherapist. I've learned, I don't even know how many different energy medicines, and become a practitioner at radionics and Rife, which is pure energy medicine, and attended Egyptian mystery schools and worked with shaman. And so each of these layers is sort of how I feel like our life is a journey. It's a hero's journey, and we're living it, and we're following this path, right? And we're like, ooh, success! I have everything I'm supposed to have, and then everything falls apart, and you go, who am I? Why? What's wrong? And that leads you to the next door, and that door is only visible once that new truth is embraced, which is shedding the old, right? Or what we thought we wanted, or who we thought we were. So we're all in a big thing happening now. And along the way, one of the most powerful things that I learned about were the rays of creation. So the basic 12 rays of creation go from red and blue up to the gold ray. And the gold ray is the 12th ray, or what we call the God ray, and it's golden spiritual sunlight, and it has all the other rays inside of it. So rays are energy, they're harmonics, they're music, they're color, they're sound, they're conscious, like everything else in the liquid light field, luminous. And the violet flame is the seventh ray of creation. And it's a transmutational ray, oftentimes called a karmic ray. And it's really powerful because so many people have used it on the planet, right, through history. And we know Kuan Yin and Saint Germain are holders of it. The dolphins have come through, like, I don't know, 8, 9 years ago and said, we're holding it. And there's a lot of wisdom, a lot. And when you have that much sacredness, when you have that much focus, right, ritual or practice or reverence, that kind of energy happened at any time, because time is fluid, right? It all already exists. Everything is already created. So that means you can tap into that. And that means that whole idea of attraction, right, is the longer I hold this frequency, the more I attract of the same thing. Like attracts like, right? That's like a homeopathic principle that's true in everything. So the violet flame is really awesome because when you call on it, you're calling on this vast history, these beings, and depending on what you relate to, what kind of energies you communicate with or you relate to or how you feel them. But it's so powerful. I do every day something called the cosmic cleanse. And then, like Kristi said, there's a little mini course on using the violet flame and basically talking to it as a consciousness and drawing it through us and then allowing it and understanding what it does. So when you get the rays, that's free in my shop, is a chart of all the rays of creation. And it says what their qualities are, what their powers are, what they embody. And then you can see, like, oh, I saw blue in my meditation, and maybe it was a blue throat chakra, but maybe it was a blue flower that has a particular power, or maybe it was a blue moon that has moon power, or maybe it was the blue ray. That's the ray of protection and the ascended masters and, all these different things. So when you understand that these are energies that are some of the elemental building blocks of reality, and you're asking them to help you create your reality, or in essence, remember that you are the creator and start to manifest. And by manifesting, you make it appear because it's already created, right? So you're like, ooh, I really want that. I'm thinking about that. I'm going to go look it up. I'm going to go there. I'm going to do it. And now I'm sitting there, on the beach eating that ice cream or whatever, right? It was that manifestation. And that is what we're doing. We're selecting. So the violet flame, when you call on it, first of all, transmutes karma. What does that mean? Things that are stuck in a pattern that say you can't, you don't, you shouldn't. Old beliefs that you have, old mindsets that there's any kind of limitation because you're the master of your reality. So if you just step out, you say, oh, and it transmutes all of that. And then the next part of it is it reconnects you to your purpose. So it starts to take those energies that have been stuck in a karmic pattern, meaning something that you believed in or that you vowed to or you made an agreement with that keeps going, right? And it can just dissolve it, and it's a very fast, high frequency flame. It's also called the violet light of fire. So it's a light, frequency, and a consciousness. And you can play with all the rays that way, but that one is a particularly powerful one because to me, it's coming up through me and it's going burning everything to ashes, basically, right? That I don't need anymore mentally, emotionally, spiritually, at any level of my light body. And then it's starting to take those now freed up, out of the ashes, the phoenix is born, and wire them like little vines back up to parts of my soul pattern that are existing in my light body. And it's doing all of that. And I just ask it to keep going as long as it's optimal and go on with my day.
I love
Chills.
that. I know. I need to do this practice.
Yeah, that was the thing that changed for me. Was I was introduced to the violet flame maybe, I don't know, 25 years ago, and had used it to cleanse and clear, but had never been taught to speak to it. And when I was working with you, it came through as a goddess, like a woman. And I was speaking to this beautiful divine incarnation of the violet flame, which is why I wanted to ask, because today your hair is lavender and your clothes are lavender. And yeah, so speaking to, for me, her just created such a deep relationship with that energy.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the way everything is, because everything's energy and everything's consciousness. And if I'm selecting my reality, basically placing orders, just like on Amazon, like, oh, I just realized I could do that. I want that, Oh,
Yeah.
I love that idea. I love that in business, like I hear what somebody who's similar to me is doing, and I'm like, I never thought of that aspect or that perspective. And then it seeds something, right? Ooh, and then I could go out, because if it already exists, then I can go look for it, or can start to say, oh, I'm ready for that. That's interesting. I'm going to put that into my reality. Then I give it to the violet flame, who can clear it up of all of the fears and attachments that might want to hold it back from being manifested, and connect me to those soul powers that are already existing right now, of already having the reality that I want. So
I love that. And this, the other day I was walking through the woods and I was thinking about this aspect of manifestation and the things that we want. And what you're saying is like, it's all already here. Everything is already in existence. And there was something when I was walking through the woods and the sun was coming through the trees and I saw the cobwebs. And I thought, you don't always see the cobwebs, but the light illuminated it and showed it to me. It was like, it's always been there. But the light is like our awareness, illuminating the things that we're wanting to manifest. It's all already there. It's just our awareness illuminates it and brings it into our reality.
Yeah, exactly. It's really fun to start to play with, like, what concept can you really connect to, right? How can you get a visceral, emotional, what triggers thoughts or feelings or tastes of great popsicles when you were a kid or whatever, right? What triggers those feelings? Because what you're saying is like, wow, that light illuminated the structure, or it illuminated things that are going on behind the scenes that are happening all the time. But everything is already created. So it really makes it simpler than I have to work hard for a long time to get what I want. To say, oh no, it's just more like a big buffet. But if it's so big that unless I say, oh, you know what? I really want some bean sprouts. I love, it's the weirdest thing, but I love bean sprouts. And I love when I find a little Chinese restaurant, only in Europe, really, they do this in England, and they just make stir-fried bean sprouts. It sounds really weird, but there's a specific flavor, and I got my children addicted on it, right? So it's just like, I love that. And then that can become something that is like, oh, I love that flavor. And what does it make me feel? And then how can that be part of my life every day? And what other ways can that be illuminated? And that illumination starts to become where you put your focus all the time, because you already have it. So we're very consumed with thinking we have to figure out how to get it.
Right.
Right? Or how to get away from our patterns that we are very aware are keeping us stuck, or how to stop being triggered by emotions or drama on the cultural and social scenarios. So if you realize that as the center of your reality, you are the I am, and that's source or infinite, and you're the only thinker in your mind. So regardless of what we've been taught, we have deep, deep habits that seem to take a lot of time or seem to feel hard to get rid of. And that in and of itself is also a manifestation of your beliefs, that it's got to take a lot of time and it's got to be hard. And you somehow have to sacrifice. You have to maybe give up time or friends, or you have to settle for relationships you don't really want. And all of this stuff is complete nonsense, but it's the way we were all raised. And the reality that we were raised inside of with those belief systems is only just started to fall apart, right? As we have these breakdowns in our lives. And it's just like, well, that didn't work. What else could I try? And it's getting stripped away, stripping away those old identities that we have. So yeah, the idea that you are already in possession of everything that you want, and there's a part of you that's already had it and that you can talk to. And if you go to that you, that end result you, you're not over here going, oh, okay, I finally know what I want. I finally am letting myself know what I want. I'm finally willing to say what I want. And you always have to just not be attached to what you say you want. You have to just start there. It's a GPS coordinate, right? You just have to start with, okay, I want to meet my soulmate, I want to do a spiritual business. Whatever. Okay. Just start with something that's really like, something you feel like and then your wish is fulfilled state is, what is it like when that wish is already fulfilled? What is it like at the end result? But not getting there. It's after it's happened. It's when it's normal, when it's a habit, when it is done. And why? Because all the stuff that happens in between is not up to you. We're always
Yeah.
trying to figure it out and control it. We can't. The more we force it, the more we try to make it happen, the less likely it will happen. Because we can't force source to open windows that are already standing there like this. Right? We're over here, oh, let me in. They're like, here's your pile of gold right here.
Yeah.
Hi. So we have concepts that make no sense. We ask questions that make no sense because in these other
Right.
realities. So the easiest thing is to try an inside out manifesting. Go to the end result. Excuse me. So a lot of people, when they want to come to a retreat, right, because it's out of their comfort zone, or they're worried about spending the money, or who's going to take care of their dog or their kids or whatever, or their job, all the different things that come up. Should I spend the money on me? Am I worth it? Will I get my money's worth? On and on and on and on and on. Right? So I tell people, if you're serious, see yourself on the plane on the way home. Don't see yourself doing this and doing this and doing this in order to do that. And that does come into play, of course. I had two ladies manifest the retreat in England, and it was quite a miraculous experience. I mean, they went from literally impossible conditions to manifesting and coming to this retreat. And that bridge they crossed, was that gap that they crossed, right? Was the hardest part of it, was confronting their emotional body, mindsets and beliefs that wanted to keep doubting and arguing that it could happen. As they're trying to say, no, oh, over here, let's focus on, there it is, where it is, and oh, and then this and that. So when you go to the end, you're already happy that it happened. Both of these ladies, most of the ladies, leaned across at one of the meals the last 2 days and just looked me in the eye and said, I am so glad I came. Thank you so much. And it's because their whole life is different, not just because of what happened on the retreat, but getting there.
Yes.
And now they know they can do that. They can accomplish something that looks impossible. And
That's
whether
incredible.
it's money or time or whatever, right? The government, okay, we're talking big ass things were in the way here. Huge things.
Wow.
And so it makes when you just say, well, maybe I shouldn't spend the money on myself, look like not a big issue when you see this. But for everybody, it's crossing that bridge and sustaining that it is done, because it's done. It's already
Right.
done.
So
And
I think,
mhm.
oh yeah, that's like a big question that I think comes up a lot is creating the feeling state, feeling it done, being there in the completion. And then you're in that, you're doing it maybe a few days, maybe a few weeks, and the outer reality hasn't shifted yet. And those doubts start to creep in, that, maybe this isn't working. Am I fooling myself? Am I,
Be
delusional?
realistic. Be realistic.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love that one. Yeah, be
that's a
realistic.
big one. Be
Yeah.
realistic.
What?
So how do we, like you
Not on my
mentioned,
planet.
Yeah, right.
right?
What does
So
that even mean?
you mentioned the gap, that space in between, when we set this intention and feeling tone and this final, I don't even know if I can call it a manifestation anymore when we talk about everything's already there and we're just kind of realizing what's there. But how do we negotiate that gap when there's a delay? How do we hold that high feeling tone?
Yeah, like how do we
Well,
let go of the doubt?
right. And what's interesting about it is that the challenge is that it's simpler and easier than you believe. So you're
Mm,
constantly trying to do something, to judge everything, and instead of being in the end result. Because if you are in the end result, you're not noticing the gap. You're
Yeah.
grateful for it and you're living in it. So the bottom line is your job is to pick yourself up and put yourself back in the end result.
okay.
Because if you're over here doubting, you don't doubt it if you're standing in your new house and the
Right.
deed's in your hand. You don't go, it's going to happen soon, but why hasn't it happened yet? I don't know if it's real. Was I realistic? You're going, yeah, look what I did. This is real. And you see the deed and you see the keys in your hand and you sleep in there. Okay. And you keep pulling yourself back there 5 million times if that's what it takes.
All right.
And
So it's
that's
not
the simplicity of it, but it's complicated, right? Because the doubts suck you in, and then you talk to
Yes.
other people. Don't tell
Hmm.
anybody else. This is your
right. So it's not
reality.
we're not expecting that doubt won't creep in. We're just, when it does, we're resetting. We just reset.
Yeah, you're going to be constantly looking for that old habit because it's always going to take over until the new habit is complete. And when the new habit is complete, then you don't have to remind yourself, it's already here. How would I think? What would I decide? What would I
Mhm.
do right now if this was true for me right now? If
Yeah.
I close my eyes 15 times a day, I set an alarm and I close my eyes for 3 minutes and I breathe and I let go of everything and I start floating out of my body because I am no body in no time. And I start to say,
Mm.
oh, yeah, the wish fulfilled state, that state. Oh, and what in that moment is most mm, palpable, most tangible to your senses. And this is basically practicing being your spiritual self,
Mm.
igniting more senses in your intuition. Be more interested in going, oh, look, there's that doubt. Let's see. That doubt is talking about what if the bank doesn't give me the loan for the house? Okay, let's stay with the house, right? Oh, I found the house. Oh, I found this. Oh, I have the down payment. Oh, everything's coming together. But what if? But what if, right? So you're going along the path. It's starting to appear. Things are happening. But then you try to go in and say, well, should it be faster or why isn't it here yet? Or maybe it's coming in a particular way. Or maybe you're staring at one door like the fly, boom, 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 when the other door is wide open, 500 of them, right? You turn
Mm.
around. So this is discipline of focused imagination because that is your creative wand and it's a disempowered word. So I'm looking for a better one because it is the creative power, but it's been diluted. Oh, it's just your imagination. Oh, your imagination.
Mm.
But then, oh, you're a man of imagination. So we have respect for it. We have disempowerment with it. But the bottom line is if you don't visualize, if you don't sense, if you don't imagine, if you don't wonder, if you don't ponder, if you don't sit with it and just say, what would it smell like? What would it sound like? What would it feel like? And then you do it again and you do it again because what you want will change and it will change as it's going on. that's the other, excuse me, wow, I almost had like a cough, sneeze, explosion. Wow, that was interesting. Usually it goes up the back of my nose when I'm
It's
talking
all
like that.
the it's all this
Woo.
channeling flowing through.
So, yeah, so then you have this experience, right, of you're fine tuning. I'm older. We used to have to fine tune our TV station,
Yeah.
Yep,
move the rabbit ears around, or the hanger, the
I
broken hang,
remember.
the bent hanger, to try to get that black and white TV to stop being the, oh, and then sometimes there was sound and sometimes there wasn't, right, and all that stuff, or radio stations, right? And so we're doing that. We're in progress. Everything is already there. I'm tasting this. I'm deciding that was good, but what I really want is that. And what if you go on a trip, or you go to a new market for your fruit today, and you see something you haven't seen in a long time, and you run into somebody and you start thinking, wow, what if I started having this in my whatever, something is always on the path. All the doors are there, but they're waiting for you because it is your reality. And so the idea of following your bliss means you've got to figure out what you want. Nobody else will. So I'm really right now in a phase of my own growth, that after decades and decades of this and this, and then going into other lives and doing the shamanic journeying, and gathering up and traveling and talking to all the different realms and energies, and understanding that there's this creative flow, that we need to be a clear and open channel as a conduit. But we're not just standing there like, oh, okay, just use me, I'm a telephone line bringing something. No, you are one that has your own flavor. And if you don't decide, so Kristi knows I teach that, to say that you are ready and willing and open and receptive to receive what is optimal for your highest good at this time. And what that does is takes out subjective questions like, is this a good idea? Or is this good for me? Or is this the best thing? According to who? These are subjective questions.
Yeah.
However, there's a place where we're too passive about it. We have to be much more impudent. We have to be like the kid who keeps saying, can I have the ice cream? Can I have the ice cream? Can I have the ice cream? I really like that ice cream. I want that ice cream. I got this color. I don't want this color. I used to really, really fussy about color. And then I was studying with Jack Canfield a long time ago. And he told this story about how he went to a seminar, and when you sat down, there was a notebook, just a spiral notebook, but all different colored, covered, blue, green, whatever, on the chair for you. And he sat down, and it was yellow. I don't know what the color was, but he didn't like yellow. So he immediately felt this like inner child kind of like, and the seminar starts and the lady comes out on stage, and he said the first thing she says is, if you don't like the color of your notebook, go change it right now. What are you doing sitting there not asking for what you want?
Nice.
I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So have an opinion, decide what you want, prefer something. Don't judge it. If you change your opinion, that's great, right? I never heard of this before, and then I went and investigated it, and that's not really what I want to do. However, it led me to that, and then that led me to this, and I'm a constant thing. And Rumi said that you can't know everything at once. So you have to give up that idea. You have to surrender that the good is unfolding, that you are source, and that the more your job is to send the most powerful signal of what you want, and never let it be interrupted. Just constantly, and go back into it again and again. And Kristi knows also from my classes, as I lead these deep activations, and there's energy work happening, and there's spirit work, and there's soul retrieval, and there's all these layers of things that are happening. And every time you go back and repeat it, something different happens, right?
Yeah.
It takes you to a new level. And so, you could repeat it 10 times a day for 20 days, and you'd be growing and evolving every single time. changing your perception of it. And then it could be going in without you listening to it because you've heard it so many times. And now you start to expand what you're experiencing while it's going in and doing some healing work. So there's this idea of your job is to constantly be seeking the most exciting, juicy, delicious, wonderful, sensational, sensual feeling of what it would be like to be you with your wish fulfilled. And don't worry about being desperate, like, you know, writing 5 pages of what you want and then going, oh, I forgot to say I wanted that too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Desperation's got to go because desperation is lack. It
Yes.
means you don't
Right.
have it.
You made me think, you said, follow your bliss. And like the thought that went in my mind was like, what if following your bliss to society standards just doesn't make sense? But you're like,
No,
like
it
maybe you're
doesn't.
switching jobs and you make less money, but you're like, that sounds like way more fun. So society's like, what are you thinking? You have this really great paying job. Why would you go make less money? But you're like, but that sounds like more fun to me. And then it's like, sort of like, do I trust it? How do I trust it that it's all going to work out? Like, those are the thoughts I think that start to come in.
Right. And so what that is who is that? Is that you as the I am? Or is that you having given your authority to society, to parents, to work, to jobs, to whatever's considered normal in your culture or your gender, right? That is what we're all breaking free of. The age of Aquarius is about complete independent spirituality, while we also recognize that we are one. I'm not responsible for you. I have to be responsible for me. So I understand what you're saying. I've been there. And I don't live there anymore at all in any way, shape, or form. I don't think about what other people think. I don't, way past not watching the news. Like recently some things happened that I didn't really like. It's happening over there, and how it affects me and what I think and feel about it and what I'm choosing to allow into my reality is very carefully filtered. I do not compromise my energy. I am not willing to let in energies that drag down and bring in sickness, conflict, fear, that hand my power away to anyone, any government, any idea, any law, any rule, any person's opinion, whatever. So my first thought was unplug and go back to what would I think? And most people are coming from the same place, right? At some level, you've been going along, unplugging yourself. So you're aware of that now, to where there was a time when you weren't aware of it. It was just normal, right?
Yeah.
So now you can take that next quantum leap, and everybody can, from wherever you are to the next level. If you say, I am ready and willing, and I'm open and receptive to be a clear and open channel to what is optimal for my highest good. And it has nothing to do with anyone else. And it isn't that you have to tell other people what to do or what not to do. You let them go. You let them walk. You don't change the world by following the rules of other people, and you don't change the world by telling other people to do things your way. You change the world by changing who you think you are.
Yeah.
And what you think and feel, and then the world changes. So the reflection will continue to have some of the older manifestations, right? Every so often a little will come, a little gremlin will come in, and I'll be like, what in the world? Wow, that's a strong manifestation from another time, from another belief, like a little timeline, it came by. I'm like, well, hi, thanks. Yeah, moving on. So, but it's creating a stream of your own flow. There is nothing else. And we're here to create a reality. So if you have an opinion, if you allow yourself to dream, if you allow yourself to imagine, if you allow yourself to really think, you can start with, I have no idea what I want. Many people start there. And you can be like, well, I'm afraid to have what I want. What if there's consequences? What if people don't like it? What if people criticize me? What if I get burned at the stake? and every other version of that, right? Yes, that may happen. And do you want to put your energy into that? Or do you want to put your energy into it's going to be harmonious and beautiful? But you don't put your energy into, and my mom will agree, and my husband will say it's fine, and everybody will think I'm perfect. Okay. You put it into I am flowing in my own harmony, and I'm playing in the field of bliss with the people who are in my field of bliss. And that means they have to be harmonious with what's my field of bliss. And the people who aren't with it, they'll leave your life. There won't be a lot of requirement to say, I can't handle you anymore. Like it'll just be like everybody will flow. And you just stay on your path of harmony. You keep bringing it back. There's divine laws of abundance. They're not laws like human laws. They're laws like laws of energy. Right. And so when you work with them, it's like saying, okay, there's this law of abundance and it's always working for me. Am I acting like it's working for me or am I afraid of it? If it's always working through me, it's a flow of energy. It's constant. It never ends. What do you want? 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 And then we move from what we want. That's just where you start. That's like, what do I want? Okay, I want this. And then you define it. And then you go into it. And it'll change. Because pretty soon you'll realize that was your ego that wanted that. And maybe I don't really want that anymore. But as soon as you start feeling the way you're going to feel when you have something, you go underneath the actual thing. And now you're tuning into the energy of being it and having it and feeling it. And that's going to be something that you can define now. I want to feel peace. I want to feel harmony. I want to feel joy. I want to get up every day and just know that the magic is everywhere around me and that every step and breath I take is guided by divine intelligence. That I'm a channel for infinite wisdom. That everything is here. And what I'm doing is walking through the reality I've already created. And now I'm putting out the new reality that I want to see. And then I'm looking for it.
Yeah.
And
So
it's going to be like peeling away.
Yes.
And you feel our manifestations can so not just be like for ourselves, like, oh, I want a new house or I want a loving relationship or great friendships. It could be out much further for the whole world that we live in.
Absolutely. But think about this. If you live in harmony and joy, wouldn't your whole world be living in harmony and joy?
Yeah, that's what
It's
I
a natural
want.
repercussion of who you are. So that's also that victim mentality or that idea that we have to do everything for everyone else. You need to do it for you, all for you, 100% for you. And then it overflows, then it radiates out, then it becomes your nature, then it becomes all you see, all you resonate with, what you become irresistibly attractive to. And then the people who show up are in that frequency. And the people who've been in your life who aren't in that frequency, there may become a discomfort level of I just and then it's like you will be making decisions. You will be lonely in the sense that you can't. A lot of people want no one to be upset and everyone to stay the same while I go over here and spiritually blossom into this fabulous manifesting goddess of the queens. And they don't go together.
Yeah.
One frequency does not go in the other frequency. It doesn't exist there. And so your relationships change. But my number one relationship requirement is harmony.
Yeah.
I heart to heart weave with my mom and with my dad and with my daughters and with everybody every day in harmony. And I just ask for harmony. And then so the truth is you don't create for other people, but you do create your reality. So the way people show up in your reality has to match your reality.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking you have to go tell somebody something, or you have to change that person, or that it's not fair how they're treating people, or that they're mean, or that that's illegal, or whatever it is. Yeah, there's a lot of that shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Take your energy away from it. Your attention and your energy, manifest more of it. Don't get involved in war. Don't get involved in that stuff. Take care of yourself. Take care of the people that you care about, and don't do it from fear. Turn around and say what it's like to live in a world of harmony then those things fade away and the energies go to building a different kind of structure that you are inside of. And you get to suddenly go, oh my gosh, I never even thought of that. Ooh, this could get better too. Then the people who show up in your reality are showing up in line with you. And it's not that you have to say, well, I want this person to change. You're saying, I'm ready for a relationship that matches this. Then this is kind of an advanced magic, sacred magic secret. But I feel naughty. Okay. So
Tell us.
so you don't change people by telling them they're wrong, right? You don't change people by judging them. Get away from judging anything, accept everything exactly the way it is. That's the state where you take your power back. Your mind goes into harmony. You try to start to transcend everything, and compassion fills everything. Compassion opens the clarity of your vision. What happens now? Part of manifesting the wish fulfilled is living in the end result. What does it feel like? So I naturally now, I've been doing this very consciously since June, beginning of June. And now it just happens. It took over me this afternoon. I had a little bit of free time and I sat down and all of a sudden, woof, I went into this other world space that I create where I start consciously being like, oh, I'm floating. I'm no body, no thing. And I'm in that end result of certain things that I'm manifesting, I'm thinking of. And I'm like, ooh, and then I can feel when I like move through a veil or something pops or something changes. I can tell I've entered that reality at a deeper level. And when that happens, there's new senses that awaken of what it's like to be that person, be in that space. One of the most powerful secrets of basically everything's there now. How do I send out my signal to find that signal, that perfect one? Because there's a million versions of everything. Oh, I could get the perfect person, but it could be a big drama getting there. Oh, it could be get the wrong person, but a really easy getting there. I could, like, every version exists, right? So the more that I am specific and go deeper and deeper into I want to feel this and have your core bottom line things, the more that what appears has to appear. So you see yourself with that person or in that house. You see that end result. And this works really well with people. So I know Kristi wants a partner. I'm gonna use an example of you two ladies winning a podcast award.
Yeah.
Is that part of a reality you want?
Yes, it is now.
All right. So getting seen, getting recognized, okay, getting asked, getting invited. Could you spend a minute or two a day closing your eyes, breathing into that, imagining what it would be like? Where's the inbox? Would it come in your email? When you opened it, what would it say? Oh my gosh, you'd call each other up. How could you make that feel and start to grow its own? Oh, this is what I want. And then you send it out there and it's like a little feeler going through the jungle of all possibilities that exist.
Yeah.
So could you see and hear someone saying, is there a show you would like to be on? Is there a TV show? Is there an interview show? Is there a summit? Is there a particular host that you would love to be on a show with? Could you see that person in your mind's eye saying, I love what you do. I love how you do this. You're so radiant. You're perfect for my audience. Would you please come on my show? Could you hear them saying that because you know what their voice sounds like? This is such a powerful tool that when you see that and you hear that, maybe it's somebody you know, Maybe it's somebody like we're talking about here, making it more like a business idea or something a little bit.
Mhm.
But also, when you hear their voice saying that, there's an energy that goes through you that changes everything. You know, you've been there. Now you're not creating from the past, you're creating from a place you've never been in physical reality, but you've just visited. You've heard the person say the words. Now, what if you wanted something wonderful for somebody? Say somebody's very ill and you're sending healing in whatever way is optimal for them. Don't force a particular outcome on them, please. They might like a different outcome than what you think is
Right.
optimal, right?
Yeah.
So, but you hear their voice saying, guess what happened? I woke up this morning. I feel so good. I feel this. That's resolved. I no longer fear this. What could you hear them saying to you that would then now solidify you being a part of their manifestation of health?
That's beautiful.
I'm
Wow.
getting goosebumps.
Yeah,
I have goosebumps. Oh,
that's so beautiful.
wow. Powerful.
Super powerful.
And that's something that I think anyone listening can start doing right now for anything that they're wanting to manifest. This is a beautiful practice that that you could start as soon as this podcast finishes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, like Kristi knows, like what I say is like you will run into your walls, your fears, your blocks, your challenges on your way to what do I want, right?
Yeah.
What is my wish? Ultimately, I don't like keeping to that word want, but it's emotional and ego based. So it's like, oh, and you want to
Yeah.
grab that emotion, the power that it's holding. And then you're like, okay, I want that. Why do I want that? Because I'll feel like this. And what will it feel like of that? And then you start to realize underneath that there's other things you really want. But that wish then fulfilled opens doors to something new.
I was
So,
thinking, sorry, where are you
oh,
gonna
it's
go?
okay.
I was just thinking, like, you were saying how, sometimes things or people will leave, fall away from your life because you're tapping in a new vibration. But then there's still maybe this like grief that you go through in that process of losing that thing or that person. And, I think sometimes there's this sense of clinging to an aspect of it, even though you still want this other thing over here. And like, how do we begin to navigate that where we're like, this person or this job or this situation, I recognize maybe it's not serving me and I really want this over here, but oh gosh, I have to let that go or it's going to disappear or
Well, you stop focusing on it and you stop focusing on having to let it go or having to figure it out or having to resolve it or having to do anything. If you go to the end result that you no longer have that, why do you have grief? You have grief because of a perception of loss.
yeah.
But you're moving towards what you really want. You're moving towards being the creator. Then every step from that moment forward is going to keep growing in everything is possible for me. Every day I wake up is this delight. I can't possibly grieve what has just died because I die in every moment. I died to that belief and I died to this relationship and I died to this. And why can't I rejoice that it was great? It was a stepping stone or it was an experience. But those are emotional and egoic mindsets, traditions, beliefs, attachments.
Yeah.
And as you go towards your wishes, you will run into those.
Yeah.
And those are deep emotions. So if you get the scale of consciousness on my website, below the state of courage is what's called it's force state. And what that means is that everything takes energy. Everything takes force. So the lowest state of consciousness is shame and then guilt. And the emotional state of guilt is blame. So the whole world is wallowing around in blame and guilt and judgment. And it's that person's fault, and it's because of that, and it's because of this. And how do I find out who did it and why they did it? And how do I dissolve that? And how do I resolve this? And how do I find my wounds? And how do I stop? We don't need to. We've been doing that, okay? And it was needed, and you will run into them. And if they're relevant, you will find them, because all of your lives exist right now. So every potential future life and every past life, quote unquote, however you want to perceive them, exists. You can tap into all of them. Some of them hold your deepest fears, your deepest wounds, your deepest grief. For you in particular, there's a deep sense of leaving someone behind. That's just coming up. There's a shield across your chest. There's a huge, wow, it's kind of emanating a lavender glow. It looks like it looks more like a crest, like a family crest, this huge thing across your chest. And Lindsay, and there's a sense that you have a duty and that you can't leave people behind, and that if you do, you're somehow it's more than letting people down. It's like that sense people had in olden times of like, you must do the duties for your family, you know, like if you were royalty or something, right? You had to do this whether you liked it or not, because it was for the good of the country or the family name or whatever. And so you can find some very juicy things where you've left your power behind, where you've hidden your voice. Because there's nothing to grieve. And if you're the creator of all of it, then you can say, okay, did that, played that, great, thank you, close that, graduated from that, put that over here. It's all there. It's in the Akashic record. You can go visit it anytime you want. You can draw from it anytime you want. What you really want is what's going to compost out of it. Right? And grief is powerful. We're grieving nonstop right now. I mean, things are changing so fast. I'm constantly aware, and it's not like it's a new thing, but it's so present to me that this moment will never exist again, even when it's a really shitty one. It will never exist again. And the depths of grief you might go to have power inside of them, have wisdom inside of them, have a door inside of them that you may never touch, staying up here being happy all the time. Because we are multidimensional beings. We're meant to walk through the doorway of the grief. We're meant to walk through that. Grief is a low state of consciousness, comes right up there after grief. And what happens in there? Well, regret. That's the emotional embodiment of grief. And I don't know about you, but a lot of the things I do in my life are no regret allowed. I do not like that energy at all. So if it's a matter of that person might not like what I'm about to do, or I get to regret this at the end of my life because I missed this opportunity. You know, when my daughter died, my parents came out to visit me. My mother lost 3 children. My parents were grieving their own whole horror show happening over again. And there I was, the gift of it. I didn't want to live. And the way my mother handled grief was get busy. Let's clean the house. Let's do things. And I sat on the couch and I didn't talk to anybody. And I was in another world, and I was spending every second remembering every minute with her, every second, every feeling, every sensation. I wanted to imprint it within me. I didn't want to leave it behind. I didn't want to busy it. I didn't want to leave it. It hurt like shit, and I wanted to. And when I had my first ayahuasca experience, I thought, oh shit, I'm probably going to have to go back and re-experience that crap. I don't want to do it. And I did, one of many different things. And again, it was so worth it. Because as the grief was pouring through my body and my body was arched in pain and my body was so arched and the tears were rolling down like this, and I could feel them rolling down my back, and there was just like nonstop, just like pouring and pouring and pouring. And I became a sea of bliss. And suddenly the grief of my daughter dying was like a little knife, ping, 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 really sharp, tiny little knife, just ping, out, ping, out, 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 out. And I was the sea of bliss. And that's all that was this tiny little out, 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 out. And immediately after, out, it got absorbed into the bliss.
Whoa.
And the grief and the pain and the bliss coexist. And it was, to me, where ecstasy exists.
And do you feel like
That's amazing.
you access the bliss by allowing that fullness of the grief? Or, yeah,
Acceptance.
accepting.
Yeah. Acceptance is a state. Kristi knows. My
Mm.
favorite state.
Mhm.
And it's a state where you take your power back, because I used to think acceptance was weakness. Oh,
Mm.
just accept what you have. This is all you get. I'm
Oh,
like, no, I don't like that idea. I create my own reality.
yeah.
So I was missing out on the power of acceptance. Acceptance just means I'm standing on the corner of Madison and Fifth. Oh, okay. I'm not going to pretend I'm not standing here. I'm going to say I'm standing right here. Now I can figure out where I'm going, because I'm accepting where I am, and I'm accepting everything that I've done and everything that's happened to me and everybody who's done them and everybody who hasn't done them and everything I have done and everything I haven't done. And who cares? Right?
Mm.
Ultimately, it's like, oh my God, stop juggling and trying to make everything mean something. It's all done. And it's ready for this beautiful gift box. And you can go back and get it anytime you want. But accepting is like, okay, I'm standing right now in this moment. This has never happened on our planet. I'm not sure it's ever happened in creation, in form, right? In worlds of conscious form. Because we're going through an upgrade of consciousness on the planet, whether people are aware of it or not.
Yeah.
Right? And time is shifting, and things are awakening, and things are melting, and it's a big hot mess. And we're used to pretending that we're in control and pretending that there's certainty and planning for 5 years and 10 years. And now we have to just be in the present moment. And ooh, that was interesting. And there, that, okay, that went by. Thank you. That was fun. Okay, let's see what else next. Yeah, it's just a completely different way of experiencing reality. And when we do that, we don't have to be in control. We don't have to have the plans. We don't even have to have the map. You know, years ago, one of my spiritual friends said, just pretend that God is sitting in the sea and that you're sitting in the sea. You're the driving and God is sitting in the seat next to you with the map. You
Okay.
can't see the map. You can't see the map. You're driving.
Yeah.
You have to trust the guidance.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that image.
Yeah, I did too. I know.
Let's go. Where are we going next? Crash.
I know, right?
Stop
So
being in
there
control.
was another question I wanted to ask you about manifestation having to do with death. And if we're manifesting everything we see, and the world around us is a manifestation of our thoughts and beliefs and everything we've done up until now, how do we view death, especially like sudden death, like when someone dies by suicide or of an illness, very quickly, and
Accident.
and they have, a spouse and children, and it might not be, maybe it's our spouse, maybe it's not, but how does that fit into our manifestation? I can't imagine how I would be creating somebody's death.
Yeah. And it's a great, deep question, because you look at, if I don't create in anyone else's reality, but if they enter mine, then they're crossing my path for some reason. This is here, this is in me. So I would never imagine in my wildest dreams, let me pick my daughter dying. That sounds super
Right.
fun. Let's do that. Okay. Even though
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's a huge spiritual, quantum leap, right? All
Right.
those kinds of things are.
So I can imagine using things like that, like, okay,
Using them
use it.
for that. Yes,
Yes.
exactly. So here's the thing. You don't cause anyone's death, for starters. You do want to be very, very careful, though, because you are powerful. You are source. You are God. You are goddess. You are the infinite field. So if you send out curses to people, they will come back to you. It isn't just blessings that come back to you 10,000-fold. Sorry. Okay. If you send out anger, judgment to other people, this person, blah, 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 it's going to come back to you. Now, some of it may go into their life, right? Some of it they may take on. And they'll only take it on if it's inside of their belief system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That makes sense. Yes.
So they might send a bunch of judgmental shit towards you, but it is not in your belief system that that's true about you. Bounces off of you like, Teflon, and slides all back to them.
Mm.
People die. People are born. We are shedding our realities in every moment. You've died a gazillion times. Death and birth are part of the same thing. We have emotional egoic attachments to the idea somebody shouldn't have died. And really powerful to realize that you don't get to make that decision. And you may never get to know why. Because you want to satisfy something inside of you. What if you just love that person? If they wanted to kill themselves and that's what they accomplished, and that happened to be intersecting in your reality, there's a reason. Maybe your awareness of it triggered you to seed something different. Maybe their gift to you was to realize later in life when you felt like killing yourself, or understand differently when people come across that, or who knows what.
Right. Or
You
to value
affect
life even more.
Yeah. You affect the timeline both directions. We don't just affect the future. Okay. We are not living from the past into the future. We are spiraling through time, choosing what we want.
Yeah.
So don't make it bad. Accept it. Honor that person's path. Don't need to know why. Don't make it about you. Realize whatever the gift is for me in this, thank you. Whether I need to be aware of it or not, I don't know. And then look at what it's triggering for you, because the gift in the moment is, what are you attached to? When you're attached to things staying the same, when you're attached to certain outcomes, you have a vested interest and you're now have shut down other options. But you're an infinite being flowing in an infinite field. And another very deep advanced magic is that you review and repeal as much as you project and create. When something happens, you review your day. You say, oh, that was lovely. I love that. More of that. Thank you. Oh, that wasn't really the way I wish that had come out. Well, what would I have liked? Ooh, I would love it if it had gone like this and I felt like that and they said this and that would be good. Okay, I'll take that. You review it and you decide it was the way you want, no different than the way you're deciding the end result you want in the future, because it's all one timeline. So if you tell your past you, it would be nicer if we had responded with love instead of yelling at that person or whatever that was. And you review it once, you review it twice, you review it 10,000 times. It's like a repeal. It's like a judgment that came down in the courts that has now been repealed and is going to go in a different direction. And the energy from that other past reality potential is going to start influencing your present and your future.
That is super advanced magic.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. Never thought to do that.
Yeah. So you have these, this is how like this is mystery school stuff, because you have to have integrity, right? Everything can be used to harm and to heal. So it isn't to say, bring someone back to life, right?
Right.
However, it could be you changing the experience of how you heard or how you felt or how you reacted. And you change into accepting that that was the path they wanted to go on. Or is there another path that would match your future desire of harmony and peace? Then maybe you start applying that to your past too. But either way, your intersection with that person is, number one, support them. They have chosen something. They're having an experience. They didn't do it for you. They didn't do it for your approval, and they didn't do it to hurt you. And especially somebody who's felt that they needed to do something like kill themselves. That is a level of commitment to becoming something new that we do not understand in our cultural
Wow.
paradigm.
Yeah, wow.
I've never heard it described that way before.
Never. Yeah.
My ex went into hospice after my daughter died, and there was a play that came out a long time ago called Whose Life Is It Anyway? I think they made it into a film. And it was when all this stuff about, can you say, I'm ready to die, please give me something? Can you say, I don't want to just sit here and wait till this disease eats me? Or can I say, pull the plug?
Yes.
And they started passing laws in the 70s and stuff about, no, you can't. You don't have a right to decide to end your own life.
Yeah.
So this was a big conversation in my reality, and especially with my husband, who at the time, my ex-husband, who was deeply on that path for his sole purpose, working with people, families, and people dying. And so there's a very different way of seeing death and cycles of death. There's a really beautiful concept in ancient spiritual teachings of assumption, becoming. So the practice of alchemy and practice of mystery schools is to learn to become that which you wish to be. You think like it, you rise to that vibration, you live in that state until it manifests around you, and it's natural, and you're there. And you can do that no matter what is happening around you. You're living at a different state of consciousness, right? And when you decide to become something, how committed are you?
Yes.
Are your thoughts creative or destructive? So Lindsay was giving us some really good examples of destructive thoughts, doubt, right? And those kinds of things. Your thoughts create things. Are you using those thoughts to create things, to create beauty, to create harmony, to create peace, to create acceptance? If I see the source in you, if I see the light in you, you see the light in me, then I am you and you are me and we are one. And then I rise to a new level and so do you. So if you see the light in someone else and you're fully committed to becoming something, you might die to certain people in your life. Okay, you may, I have a very good friend who was raised a very, very Christian family. And he started to, I met him in real estate investing. And then he started to go to hypnotherapy courses with me. And we ate fire and broke boards and walked on fire and walked on glass. And we did all this together through years and became master. And he would show up at my door and say, okay, I had a meditation and I heard this word and I know you have a book on it.
Oh.
And he would come in. So it was this wonderful sort of, mentoring relationship. And then one day he realized he's a multidimensional being with many lives. He's a spiritual being, that what he was taught as in his family and what they believed was not working for him anymore. And he went to his pastor, and his pastor freaked out and said, you're going to go to hell. And then he went to his family and he told them, and they said, oh my God, you're going to die and go to hell. And he had to be willing to step outside of people he loved, to be shunned, to hurt them, to scare them. And he didn't want to, but it was more important that he embrace who he was. And he actually went and lived on the Transcendental Meditation campus and became a teacher. I mean, fully embodied that. So the ancient idea is that idea of the assumption. The assumption is you take your body with you when you go to a higher state of consciousness. So we've been dying from this body because it's diseased, because it's full of fear, because it's developing cancer. I don't know if you heard the thunder, but thank you, thunder beings. We've got lightning and thunder right now.
Cool.
And when you see a moth go to a candle and enter the flame and burn up, what do you think?
Oh no.
Oh no.
That's so
Oh, that's
sad.
bad. That's
Yes.
sad.
I'm like, why did it do
Okay.
that? Oh no.
It was fully committed to becoming the light.
Mm.
It went to the light, it folded its wings, and it became one with it. And the burning wasn't anything. It didn't feel the burning. It became the light. And it was that committed that it became that. There was no hesitation. There was no judgment of it. And it didn't have to hurt because it was just a change of state of consciousness.
Wow.
So it's the level of commitment that you want to get to become the creator, the I am, so that you don't have to deal with the doubts, or when they come up, you just say, oh, hi.
Yeah, there's that. Let it be like a passing thought. And just what you were saying earlier, it does sound like sometimes it just is like a practice you have to do for sometimes, thousands of times during the day to be like, no, no, thank you. Again, no, thank you. Once again, no, thank you.
And one of the hardest things is the voice that keeps saying, well, if this was going to work, it would have worked by now, or clearly it's not working, or you're not doing it right.
Right.
Those are all bullshit, right? Those are all conditioned bullshit. That's like, there's no right way for you to feel. You're the one that figures out the right way. Ooh, that's nice. I never thought of that. Ooh, this is fun. I never thought of that. Ooh, I felt this. What is it that you could feel like right now? I can hear the raindrops, right? And if I just went like that, I could feel them on my face.
Yeah.
Right? You could go there right now in that instant.
Yeah.
You literally, if you look at ancient teachings, they constantly say, because they speak in code, right? They're mystics, they're mysteries. And if they say, leave, turn, walk away, shut the door, go upstairs, flush the toilet, whatever. It's shut it out. Walk away from it. Abraham Hicks had a book way back early on called Ask and It Is Given.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's very popular anymore, but it was a wonderful book because it concepts the first half and how practice the second half, ways to implement it. And the idea that they always would say is, turn around and look the other way. What do you do when the doubt comes? Turn around and look the other way. What do you do when the doubt comes? Don't talk to it.
Yeah.
Turn around, shun it, be rude, shut the door, walk a different direction. Do not talk to anybody about the doubt. Do not go, well, I wasn't going to talk about the doubt, but the doubt's here. And we just got to talk about the doubt because now it's coming back again. And now your energy's there and your attention is there and you're growing it and you're making it tangible and you're bringing back the memories and you're sucking up all the stuff. And it's happy to come back and become an embodiment again.
Yeah.
Right. It's very happy to do that. So it seems really irresponsible. I was raised by very responsible intellectual people, and they would say that was the height of irresponsibility. Is to turn your back on your fears and your issues and look at happy things. I have twins who look at me and then look at my family and then they shake their head and they say, I really don't understand. You're the only one that's happy, but you're so weird and unstable, in normal sense, there's no
Right.
paycheck, there's no whatever normal people do. Yeah.
Right. In their eyes, like what?
Yeah, they see they're standing at the precipice of two worlds because I raised them.
Mhm.
Ha ha ha. It's in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, happily, blissfully married, living on the beach in the house of your dreams. So, there's something to this stuff.
So you're doing
Something
something
to
right.
this stuff. Yeah, I know. So it was like, I don't remember. I think it was before the pandemic. I was visiting my kids, and my one daughter looked at me and she's scratching her head. And she has a degree in accounting, and she writes music and writes books and channels music, and she's like every level of whatever, like she's playing that brain from here to teaches herself music and languages and on and on and on. And she's just looking at me and pondering really hard. And she said, yeah, I just don't know. I really don't know. You're the only one that's happy. I really want to be happy. But then she doesn't tell me when she makes decisions like going into accounting for a degree. What'd you pick? Doesn't matter. What'd you pick? Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. What'd you pick? You won't like it. What'd you pick? So yeah, so you love them. You love them as they play their game, but you are the one that gets to get to whatever point in your life and say, why am I waiting? What am I waiting for? Am I living my life or someone else's life?
Mhm.
And the gap we were talking about isn't as big as you think it is. It's
Mm.
psychological,
Mm.
and it's very real in the sense that you've had experiences that cause repercussions from it. Right? We get feedback from our beliefs.
Yeah.
So the gap, however, is non-existent. So how would you like to think about the gap? That there's this big gap, there's this crevice between me and what I
Right.
want?
Mhm.
Or is it the little gap outside the underground that you hop over? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or is it a gap that's just a matter of like breathing and sending out your feelers into your auric field and be like, oh, there you are, right at my fingertips. It's a matter of what you're focused on. You focused on the doubt or the delight. You focused on the joy. I mean, to me, joy, peace, harmony, um, divine wisdom, always in the flow of letting these things be guiding me. And I know that they're incrementally without me even knowing it. What am I thinking in this moment? What did I just remember? Or what did when the exact moment I picked up my phone, or what did I see? Like all of that stuff is orchestrated, and our job is to be the GPS pin.
Yeah. And I want to, be in that space of, I'm magnetic to the things I desire. Like let them come to me. There is no gap. It's just here it is. Oh, wow. Didn't
Yeah,
even realize I wanted that. There it is. That's how good I am
exactly.
at this.
And that's why it wasn't there, because you didn't know it was possible, right? Or you didn't ask, or like these people who went on a retreat that they thought I couldn't possibly afford that. There's no way I can't pay my rent or whatever else is happening in my life. Instead of buying that, you can't believe your senses. You can't believe your senses. That's what's in my bank account. This is true. Your senses are lying to you.
Wow.
Okay, especially your five physical senses, because they can't perceive what's really there. You can't see what a bug sees. You can't hear what a dog hears. Okay, we know that scientifically for a fact. This vehicle, has severe limits to what it can perceive. So
Yes.
if all that existed in reality is what I can see and know right now, wow, what a boring life. What a reality. I don't want, what the hell? There better be some better things that I've never thought of out there, right? So much better. So I'm just like, I like that. I like this. I like that. I like this. And what are other ways that those can combine and come together? And then it's just like, what was that show? Let's Make a Deal. I don't know. There was this
The
game
show.
show when I was a kid and it had doors. Door number one, door number two, door number three. And
Oh,
one
yeah.
behind one of them was a monkey. Behind the other one
I
was a
think
new
that is Let's
car.
Make a Deal. Yes.
right? So it'd be
Yeah.
like, do you want door number one, door number? It's all there.
Yeah.
Right? It's all there. And, I remember the first time I heard there's no limit. Like, oh, I would like $1,000. I'd like $10,000. I'd like $1,000,000. Well, be realistic. Oh, that, and then you hear, well, it doesn't matter to source. $1, $5 million, it's all the same thing. How do we put that into what we've been taught? That's like
Yeah.
not even computing.
Right.
Right? Well, what we've been taught, like, are you worthy of that? Did you work hard enough for that? Have you paid your dues for that? Or do you know how to manage the money, and on and on? Like every other story that's over there trying to, like, what do I have it? Don't I have it? Should I show it? Oh, don't I? It's right there next to you, but maybe you shouldn't see it right now. Like, right? The story is telling you what you see, but it's all
Yes.
right there. So what a fun game. What do I
Yeah.
want to see? What am I ready to see? What would it be like when I see that? Oh my God, what would it be like that? And
Wow.
then touch something in your dream.
Oh,
So touch something in your dream. So I think I want to end with giving you an idea about sleep.
Okay.
yes.
So sleep, subconscious, meditation, prayer, whatever, right? Altered state of consciousness. We're going to lump all those together. We're going to call it sleep.
Okay.
When you're looking at the energetics, the magnetics, the sacred geometry of creation, you have masculine and feminine, yin yang, right? Above and below, within and without. You have polarities. You have this idea of everything being a co-creation. And here's the thing, we're out of balance. But do we want balance? Well, we want balance to be our norm. And then we lean out of that center of balance, because sometimes you just want to be in love. I don't want to think about work. I just want to go have awesome sex all day long. I just fell in love. Who cares about work, right? Now I'm like brimming with, my new book is just pouring through me. I don't want to talk to anybody about anything else, right? So we're talking about using these principles and these concepts that are naturally built in. Free will is another whole conversation. We have the will to decide what we think, what it means, and how much more we're going to think about the doubt versus the delight, right?
Yes.
We do not have freedom of choice of what's going to happen today. It's already been decided. It's a little bit weird, but we're in, like, your life. I think, Kristi, you were describing before, like, you're living in this life. So what you're living right now, a lot of it is you. It's what you've thought since you were a child, or since last week, or since you got divorced, or whatever, right? It's the powerful emotional energies that you've put out into the field and created a reality. And that thought became things, and it stays a thing. It will never be uncreated. Okay. And it's going and it's going. That is conditioning things. So a lot of your reality that you are living isn't you. It's your ancestors, it's your family, it's your culture, it's your society. Okay. Those streams of what if society doesn't agree? Well, that's the societal one that's over there that you jumped into the stream with because you're in a particular culture or family. So it's a part of the reality, but it wasn't like you chose it.
Yeah.
Right? It was put into the creation of that. Oh, okay, I would rather have this. I would rather have that. I would rather be Greek and Italian than, German, Scotch, Irish. I used to say. So then you go in and you realize the masculine principle is consciousness, but consciousness is very tiny. And the feminine principle is subconscious, and it's enormous. It is the divine yin, creative, sacral energy. It is cycles of life and death. It is all things created and all things uncreated. It is infinite potential. It is never ending. It has no beginning. It has no end. It doesn't need the masculine potential to create life. However, because you are living in a body, you're in a body, you're going to sleep. You're leaving the conscious realm. You're going into the subconscious realm. You're leaving the masculine realm of thoughts and doing things and practical things and dialing phone numbers and all of this stuff. And you're going into an unconscious reality. Did you hear that?
No.
Hmm.
Thunder.
Huge thunder. Oh my gosh.
That was so
Bam,
cool.
bam, 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 bam.
Woo!
Thank you. Thunder beams. So that was wonderful. So as you go
Love it.
into that subconscious, who are you being? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Because you are literally impregnating the Divine Mother. And then she's going to birth what you want. She's not going to decide you should have something different. She's going to give you exactly what you want. So no different than a human man impregnating a woman is not going to be a blonde man impregnating a woman and she has a black baby. You can't impregnate the divine feminine with your pain and your fear and what you don't want and expect to get what you want.
Mm.
Never
Oh,
going to happen. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. So the power and magic that happens when you sleep is beyond belief. And if you pay attention to what you're being when you fall asleep, and do not let yourself fall asleep until you get yourself out of your negativity, unravel your day, unhook from fear, what ifs, anything negative, and do your very best to go into a floating state of peace. And if all you can get to is just peace, freedom, or harmony, and then drift off to sleep. But if you can put yourself into that wish fulfilled state, oh, it feels like this. And here I am doing that. And I wake up in the morning and there's this. And oh, there's 4 more invitations for me to speak on these podcasts. And there's that there. Oh, and then this. Oh, and that's right. And you're feeling it. And then you drift into sleep. That's what you're giving her. That's what you're seeding. And that's what will start to be birthed the very next day. Now, certain things need more time and there's no limit on time. That's also kind of up to whether you believe it's going to take time. But there's certain things that, do have to be like, shifted in your
Yeah.
reality. But don't ever go to sleep again, ever, without realizing the power that you're handing over. And that if you're recreating a pattern, and if you're continuously like, I'm saying my affirmations and I'm doing my meditations and I'm doing my energy work and I'm being happy all the time, but this has just not changed, there's a reason. And the reason is you're not committed, you're not consistent, you're not reviewing, refining, going back. It doesn't matter if you have to go back 5,000 times. You are not failing, you are not doing it wrong. It is just taking 5,000 times. But it isn't because in the meantime, oh, I'm sitting here suffering. You're in the process of creation. Magical shit is happening.
yes.
When you
I
start
believe in
going to
magic.
sleep and realizing that you're seeding it, I could get really excited about what I want to seed. Like, ooh, it would feel like that, it would feel like this. And I'm being given permission to be the little girl, to be the fantasy, to be the Imagineer, to be the one that says the best that it could possibly be and something even better.
Yes.
Mm.
That's one of my favorites. Like better than I could have ever imagined. That I love saying that one. I'm like, just show me better than I could even imagine.
And then step into it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, receive it. No, keep it out there. Step into it. Another thing I like is doorways. I like seeing doors. So if you ask for the doorway to go to sleep, let it appear, use your senses to intuitively feel it or sense it. And then as it is appearing, maybe you see it, maybe you just imagine it, maybe you feel it, maybe it just feels warm or something. It doesn't matter. Don't judge yourself. Accept
Right.
what you're seeing, accept what you're feeling, and pretty soon it opens and it opens and it opens, and just be like, I'm now ready and willing to enter this doorway to sleep, and I'm bringing with me only those beautiful, harmonious, wonderful, peaceful, prosperous visions, feelings, and declarations, whatever, right, with me. And I know this is true, and I'm going to go play in my wish fulfilled world with my future self. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to be inside out manifesting, because once you get in touch with that you that's living that life, it's like you have each other's phone numbers now.
Yeah. I love that. It's calm. So what's it like to be you right now? Let me
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Let me
Like,
know.
yeah, I remember that time when I felt like shit. Stop feeling like shit, Just say no to the shit. Go do something else. Be more, be more, be more. Just be. Just
Yeah.
be. Just ponder. Don't do so much. Don't do so much. Don't do so much. There's nothing to do. And the how. Wow, that's a whole nother series of conversations.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't do the how. Just get out of the how.
Yeah.
Holy shit, get out of the how. I can't tell you how stunning it is when I like to make things happen. Right? I've had businesses for 40 years. Like, let's go make it happen. Let's make it. Oh. And it's like that energy needs to be in that visioning, in that imagining, in that living in it, and then coming back and being like, oh, yeah, that. And then like, oh, well, that's interesting. I watched something unfold, I don't know, maybe over about 6 weeks or something that was like this.
Oh,
What? No. What? Oh.
I
Not
love
any
that.
idea like where that was headed or how that was headed because it's somebody that I met that, now is a relationship that's gone in directions I never expected. It's not love, it's a business thing, right? And friendship and mentorship and just all these things are happening and then new things are being birthed. And then there's this, I don't even know how to put it. It's like I'm over here being somebody new. Right? So
wow.
what am I saying? Let's say, oh, I'm a best-selling author. I'm a sought-after speaker. I'm a highly paid speaker. I'm a this, I'm a that. Okay. That's who I'm embodying. Now, the relationships I have now, or the ones that are starting to be birthed or starting to connect, have a different level of connecting to me.
Mm.
Suddenly, you know what? I have this training I'm doing for this corporation, and I'm probably not going to be able to go. And I've highly recommended you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Magic and
Okay.
miracles.
Not, and then you have to walk through it
Yeah.
and let it unfold
Yeah.
without fear. So
Ooh.
there's plenty to do in the moment. You
Yeah.
don't need to go to the gap of doubt because in the moment, when you
Mm,
start to see these little sprouts, you just go, oh, that's cool. Let it be, accept, let it be. Oh, because then I have to keep being the manifester, right? Out ahead of it. Oh, this could
right.
be, and that could be. And it could
Mm,
blossom into that. And I wonder what that would be like. Well, I never thought of myself in that way. Well, I am that, but I've never said it that way. And on and on and on. And the magic unfolds, and you keep staying in that flow just ahead of it. Oh, yeah, that could be. And then it turns into something new. Who knows what it could turn into? Oh, it's 2020 on my computer.
Ah.
well, this has been an absolute
Oh,
masterclass,
yes.
mystery school masterclass. I cannot even express how much gratitude and love I'm feeling right now. Just what you shared with us is so generous. Thank you for your
Yeah.
time and all your wisdom. And of course, as always, for being my teacher. I
I love you so much. And now
love
I get
you
to
so
love Lindsay
much.
Yeah,
too.
Yes.
exactly. Right. I'm feeling so inspired. Like I feel a renewal of myself.
Yeah,
I feel like I
yeah.
just went through my own portal of, just rebirth and just solidifying ideas and beliefs within me. So thank you. Like I'm so grateful to, had you here on our podcast and to have this conversation. You are
Absolutely.
an absolute blessing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was way fun. And so I'm sure you can share with everybody how to find me,
Yep.
especially on my YouTube show. We do a lot of this kind of work, we go deeper and we do activations and we follow. So there's lots of support, for all
Yeah, there are
the
so many
goodies that are here.
there's so many ways to work with Nan. So it's the idea of needing resources is out the window because she's there for you at every level. So we'll link the YouTube below and your website. Through the website, you can find just an embarrassment of riches of classes that you can take and past workshops that you can still purchase and learn from, as well as retreats that Nan does now all over the world. So whether you want to bask in the sun in the Maya, or go to sacred sites in
Freeze to
Egypt,
death in
or
England.
right, or England.
Be soaked.
So so all that will be below for you to connect with her.
And what is your YouTube channel? Just so people can hear that, they can go straight to it if they want.
It's /joyfulnan.
Okay.
youtube.com/joyfulnan.
Perfect. Yeah, so we'll link everything else below. And again, thank you so much for being
Thank
with us and sharing
you.
wisdom and
Yeah.
your joy and all the positivity. So yeah, thank you, and thank you to our listeners for being here with us. We appreciate you all and love you so much.